everyone, this is Sam with Watching Privacy. I am here with Paul and Jared from Perfect Form. Can you tell us what Perfect Form is and also your roles at the company?
Sure. So Perfect Form, we're a corporate compliance company. So we offer corporate compliance services nationwide, all 50 states. So if you think about LLCs, corporations, limited partnerships, we're going to form those, and then we're also going to do various compliance services surrounding those. So annual reporting, registered agent service, foreign qualifying those entities in various states where the entities might be doing business. Anything kind of in the compliance space that has to do with legal entities in any of the 50 states, that's what our company does, is provide those services. And my role in the company is I'm one of three co-founders.
Yeah, I'm one of the other co-founders. I predominantly kind of work on like solutions and technology. I'm a consultant by trade and background. So Paul and our other co-founder are both lawyers. So kind of where I fit in is trying to come up with the kind of back office operations and technical solutions for whatever these guys dream up.
I'm very curious, when you start something like this, working within like legal services, trust is paramount. In starting a new business like this, you said before we started filming that you were about a year old, is that correct?
Yep.
How do you begin with that? How do you start establishing trust in something that is like so sensitive to a company at such an early part of your company's life?
Yeah, part of it is, you have to signal externally that you're taking, data security and privacy like seriously. And one way to do that is, there's obviously a lot of certifications you can obtain, whether that's SOC 1 or SOC 2. And so that was a big reason why we partnered with Zoho, is because if we were out building our own software from scratch, we'd have to spend, a year and a half and, hundreds of thousands of dollars to obtain these certifications. So you can signal to your clients that you take this stuff seriously by going out and getting those certifications.
Where have the concerns around client privacy and protecting customer data, in this case, have you seen them evolve either from your side now on Perfect Form or previously in your previous roles, just over the decade? Do you find that we have moved beyond, I guess, privacy within the office and just privacy like in general online? And do you find that your customers and your clients are well-versed in these concerns?
I think where the biggest concern, in my experience, comes from as everything moves to be more cloud-based is clients are thinking, look, we know you guys can send this data around very easily and quickly. We need to make sure, and you guys need to assure us that you're doing it safely. A client, they might have information that they feel is sensitive that the service provider might not really know is sensitive. Clients have come to us and they've said, hey, what are you guys doing as information flows to make sure that it's flowing securely? And again, that's where Zoho has been so powerful for us, where we can point people directly to the features within the Zoho platform to say, this is how it's being protected across all jurisdictions internationally.
The other thing I would say is that because everything is moving to this cloud-based and everything online, it's front of mind for everyone. So it's like a non-negotiable. Like so for a lot of our clients and big law firms, you can't even interact or do business with them until you talk to the security team. For some, it is like a gatekeeping item because with the information that they're dealing with in the legal space, it's just non-negotiable. And going back to what you're saying, with everything being online now, we read headlines about data breaches or whatever, so it's just on everyone's mind because it's a susceptibility, and you don't want to be the person that has headline risk.
Kind of the scary thing, and the thing that makes it really, really important in our view, is you can't put a box around where the liability could go if you mess this stuff up.
You do have to assume worst case scenario at every single opportunity.
Exactly.
You cannot allow for like a single hole somewhere. Have you heard in your time forming Perfect Form, running Perfect Form, when you speak to potential clients, do they have stories of data breaches or privacy concerns that have happened with like previous people they've used, previous services?
Yeah, unfortunately, one of our competitors, which we do business with and rely on as a partner as well, they had a data breach recently, and so, you have emails going out to all your clients and phishing, and so like there's huge reputational risk as well,
Yeah.
right? Because now that's in everyone's mind, because they all got this email from you, and then you're having to, do fire control and say, sorry, we were hacked, and then people are wondering, well, what was hacked? What is the extent of it, right? And
Yeah.
so it's one of these things that it's like the bar for perfection is so high. And so making sure that, for us that we have a partner that, takes it as seriously as we do, because it's non-negotiable and you can't make mistakes. And if you do make a mistake, as Paul was saying, you have unknown what the cost might be of that. So it's just one of these things that perfection is a requirement.
And we're in an industry where there's so much competition. Like I said, we haven't, we're not Apple, right? We're not out creating the next iPhone that is like some unique, awesome piece of hardware that even if there's some data
Don't
breach.
sell yourself so short, but okay.
But it's just easy for somebody to say, hey, look, I got this email from Perfect Form. They said stuff was breached. I'm not even going to ask questions about what happened. I'm just moving my stuff to somebody else.
A lot of these tools, whether it's like a password manager or like some sort of authentication software, they do have to be kind of forced upon the employee in a way that like makes them need to apply it. And it is interesting to me that like, no matter what we're using, the tools that we have, like human error still does exist. We do see, like, for me, the more notable cases of just like errors in the legal industry, at least from my side of things, where I don't really read too much, but I see about security breaches, are the stories about human error, whether it's like we've uploaded a document to Pacer that's the wrong document, or we redacted something with a Sharpie, and when it was like scanned, like suddenly what wasn't visible on paper is now visible, and all this information that was supposed to be private is now like widely seen. So I guess knowing that, how do you manage, it's kind of what you're saying, how are you best managing the flaws in human error, and what can we do from your side of things to like maybe mitigate that even further with technology?
Yeah, it's a big challenge because the process and procedures are only effective to the manner that they're implemented and followed by employees. So a lot of times, it's creating an ecosystem of check and balances, and it's very hard with technology because it feels like you're always filling the gap of where the human then messed up. And it's like, all right, we need to create a rule and an environment around that. And so
Constant patching.
yeah, it's constant, finding the error and then patching it. And so I think in the long arc of history, automation is going to really help with some of these things, like verifying that the document that you uploaded is the document that you intended, and doing some, scraping of data to ensure that there's not PII in the document that you uploaded to a public database or something like that. So, technology continues to evolve. Unfortunately, you're always kind of solving for that human element, but again, it's the responsibility of the business owners to make sure that you not only put process and procedures in place, but also safeguards, technical safeguards that the employees, it kind of handcuffs them in a way, if you will. And then just providing tools and resources. And then obviously when there are those, holes, or when you read about a headline about, what a human error, what might have been, to then look at your business and say, okay, what can we do, to learn from this lesson and implement, that is one nice thing, is that this day and age, so many people are online and conducting their business through clouds and other things. You can learn from other people's mistakes.
The US is drastically behind in when it comes to like legislation around the internet and technology. Do you feel as if there should be more of an effort at the federal level to enact laws around data privacy to basically force the companies who aren't currently so interested in it to be more interested?
Yeah, I mean, the Europeans clearly are ahead of the United States in data protection and consumer advocacy as far as protecting data. What's interesting is nowadays, since everyone is online, if you touch anyone in those countries, you are then thereby have to have that restriction. So a lot of US-based companies are held to not a USA standard, but an EU standard. We can learn from that, both where they made the mistakes and where they did good. And so, it's just something that we need to, as a kind of a government and political, landscape, kind of accelerate a little bit more, just to protect our, clients and citizens' data.
Perfect Form is brand new. Well, a year in. I'm
Somewhat new, yeah.
kind of semi-new. Yeah. Large ambitions. I'm sure plans for the next several years. But like in thinking about what you want to accomplish next, what your big priority is for the next year or two, what is Perfect Form looking to achieve?
We are on the cusp of rolling out kind of what we're calling phase 2 of our platform. So started with that initial service. Government basically nixed it. So the plan was always to move to these additional services and build out the platform, but it just happened kind of on a different timeline than we initially anticipated. So as we roll out that phase 2 of our platform with all these additional services operating across all these various jurisdictions, the goal for the next year or two is to really fine-tune those processes and procedures to be the easiest, most streamlined platform for corporate services and corporate compliance. And that's going to be an iterative process. We think our phase 2 platform is the best. But the reality is that as we get out to market, as we have more client experiences, we're going to get feedback. And revenue and getting new clients is great, but a real kind of tangential benefit to that is getting their live feedback on what would you like to see done differently? Where can we be better? Even from a data privacy perspective, is this everything you're kind of looking for? Are there things that we should add or we should do differently? And so over the next year or two, it's kind of growing the business, but also continuing to improve. And we never want to kind of just stay stagnant, because that's when you give somebody else the opportunity to pass right by you.
Yeah, and I think for your clients, the idea of being able to just allow for the peace of mind, whether it's like, seamless integration, but also just knowing that their data is secure, goes a long way to just being a trusted service that you provide. So
absolutely.
Good luck to you both. Thank you for the conversation.
Thank you.
Paul,
Thank you.
Jared from Perfect Form. This is Sam from Watching Privacy. Thank you so much for your time.